Halo, halo, halo. Cek, cek, halo, cek, 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 cek.
Check, check.
Cek, cek. Cek, cek, halo, cek, halo, cek, cek, cek,
Halo, cek.
halo, cek.
Check.
Hello.
Hello, hello. Check, check, check. Okay. Check, check.
good morning, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, esteemed speakers, faculties. A warm welcome to each one of you at the inauguration of the International Summit on SDG Knowledge and Education 2025. Transforming education for a sustainable future. Knowledge, integration, and impact. Here at Nazareth College of Arts and Science.
We are gathered today to embark on an exciting journey of knowledge, collaboration, and transformation as we explore the innovative way to integrate the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals into an education system around the world. To begin this momentous occasion, let us rise for the prayer song.
Showers of blessing, this is the promise of love. There shall be seasons refreshing, sent from the Savior above. Showers of blessing we need. Mercy drops round us are falling, but for the showers we plead. But for the showers we
Let us remain standing for Tamil Thai Varthu to honor our culture and heritage.
நீராறும் கடலுடுத்த நிலமடந்தை கெழிலொழுகும் சீராறும் மதனமென திகழ்வரத கண்டனிதில் எக்கணமும் அதில் சிறந்த திராவிடனல் திருநாடும் தக்க சிறு திரை முதலும் தரித்தனரும் திலகமுமே அத்திலக வாசனை போல் அனைத்துலகும் இன்பமுற எத்திசையும் புகழ் மணக்க இருந்த பெரும் தமிழனங்கே தமிழனங்கே உன் சீரிழமை திறந்து எந்த செயல் மறந்து வாழ்த்துதுமே வாழ்த்துதுமே வாழ்த்துதுமே.
Attendees are requested to be seated.
I now take the privilege of inviting Dr. E. Manoranjidam, Vice Principal and Head of Department of Computer Science, Nazareth College of Arts and Science, to deliver the welcome address.
Good morning, all. The Bible says, "Let the light shine before men," in Matthew 6:16. I praise God for this International Summit on SDG Knowledge and Education 2025. The world faces unprecedented challenges, but through collaboration and innovation, we have the opportunity to shape more sustainable, equitable, and just future. At Nazareth College of Arts and Science, we have always believed in the power of Christ and education to transform the society, and it is with this belief that we have come together today to explore the most effective ways to integrate SDG knowledge into our educational systems. Without further ado, it is my great pleasure to welcome our esteemed guest, Dr. Balasubramanian Munusamy, Chief Development Goals Specialist in charge, SDG CC Tamil Nadu. Your deep expertise in the realm of SDG implementation at the state level is invaluable. We are thrilled to have you here to share your experiences and initiatives in aligning local, national efforts toward achieving the global SDG targets. Your work is pivotal in transforming the policies and practical solutions that benefit communities across Tamil Nadu and beyond. We welcome you, sir. Dr. Daniel Erilarasu, Regional Coordinator, India INCH. We are honored to have you with us today. Your leadership in advancing the SDG agenda across India has been inspiring, and we look forward to hearing your valuable insights as we embark on this journey of knowledge exchange. We welcome you, sir. Dr. Shirley Rolls, Executive Director, INCH. We are honored to welcome you, ma'am, Executive Director of INCH, who have joined through Zoom. Ms. Rolls' expertise and dedication will undoubtedly inspire and enrich our discussions. Mr. Margaret Vijay, Director of Villa College, Maldives. It is a privilege to have you with us today through Zoom. As Director of Villa College, your contributions to higher education in the Maldives and your focus on integrating sustainable practices into the curriculum resonate deeply with our mission. We welcome you, sir. Mr. A.N. Henry Maris, Secretary, Nazareth Group of Education. Your continuous support for educational initiatives and your tireless efforts in promoting SDG education on Nazareth College have played a crucial role in organizing this summit. Your commitment to fostering an inclusive and sustainable educational environment is truly commendable, and we are grateful for your leadership. We welcome you, sir. Dr. E. Mary Angeline Santosam, we are truly honored to have you among us, and she's also a Director of Advocacy and Research at Nazareth SDG Transformation Center. Her unwavering dedication to advancing sustainable development goals through education and research has greatly influenced both academic and community landscapes. We welcome you, ma'am. I also extend my welcome to all the participants from different colleges for this special day. I welcome you all. I also extend my special welcome to our IQAC coordinator, Ms. Alamelu, and all the deans and heads of this summit. Thank you. Have a wonderful day. God bless you all.
Thank you, madam, for your warm words of welcome, introducing the esteemed people on the dais and off the dais.
To give us an overview of this important summit, I now invite Dr. E. Mary Angeline, Principal of Nazareth College of Arts and Science, Director, Advocacy and Research at Nazareth SDG Transformation Center, and Conference Chair to brief on the summit.
Thank you. A very good morning to the guests on the dais, speakers who have joined online, and participants from various colleges. A warm welcome to Dr. Anju Abraham, Research Associate with UNDP. Once again, a welcome to the annual International Summit on SDG Knowledge and Education 2025. This year's theme is Transforming Education for a Sustainable Future, Knowledge, Integration and Impact, which is an initiative of IQAC and Nazareth SDG Transformation Center of a college. The Nazareth College is a part of a large educational group called Nazareth Group of Institutions managed by the CND Trust. The vision of this trust is to provide education of the highest quality to the students to face the challenges of life with responsibility, character, and value-based education. The International Summit is a joint collaborative event of the college and INCH, which is a global organization of individuals and institutions fostering the development of Christian higher education worldwide. INCH members are on 6 continents, and the core values of INCH are distinction, integration, collaboration, attention. The INCH members work together by sharing information and research, equipping others with training and scholarship, and cultivating enduring relationship through networking and mutual exchange. Why the summit at Nazareth? The SDG Knowledge and Education Summit aims to align educational systems with the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals by promoting awareness, capacity building, sustainable practices in educational institutions. It seeks to empower educators, students, policymakers, and institutions to integrate sustainability principles across curricula and activities, fostering future leaders who are socially responsible and environmentally conscious. The International Summit on Knowledge and Education will serve as a platform for networking, capacity building, and collaboration, incorporating innovative ideas such as special address on sub-themes, interactive workshops, publications, joint research and discussions, and field visits, which will enhance engagement and ensure practical outcomes. Objectives to encourage institutions to integrate the SDGs across disciplines, empower teachers and faculty with tools, resources, and methodologies to teach sustainability, promote student involvement through SDG projects, clubs, and social entrepreneurship, engage policymakers to align national education policies with sustainable development, facilitate collaboration between academic institutions, NGOs, government, and private entities to accelerate SDG education, encourage institutions to integrate the SDGs across all disciplines, empower the teachers and faculty with tools, resources, and methodologies to teach sustainability, promote student involvement through SDG projects, clubs, and social entrepreneurship. And what is the summit outcome? Creation of a global network of educators who are committed to SDG-focused teaching, connect the participants to the MAP SDG platform to align curriculum, teaching, learning resources, research projects, extension or outreach initiatives, announcement of partnership between institutions for joint research community programs to the Nazareth SDG Transformation Center, and launch of the student-driven initiatives and competitions to promote active engagement, publication of the proceedings and handbook of best practices in higher educational institutions, creating an annual award for the best practice based on SDG, and announcing the conduct of the annual event on various themes at Nazareth until 2030. Day one of the summit outcome will be to understand the practical integration of SDGs into the education systems, tools, and strategies. We have eminent speakers who are representing the Tamil Nadu government on implementing SDGs and collaborative effort of international organizations like UNDP supporting the government with their expertise. The afternoon session will have sharing about the Nazareth SDG Transformation Center, their role in localizing the SDGs in Avadi, and also promoting the youth of higher education institutions to understand and help the government in realizing the goals by 2030. Day 2 will explore the intersection between SDGs, National Accreditation Council new framework, national policy NEP 2020, and emphasizing how educational institutions can align with these frameworks to promote sustainability and quality education. The speakers come from rich experience who have been assessors of NAC old framework, BAF, NRF, QS ranking, and Times Higher Education ranking. The event will offer practical strategies for integrating SDG principles into academic practices while addressing the accreditation requirements. Shared blueprint for peace and prosperity for the people and the planet, and now and into the future. The SDGs were set up in 2015 by the United Nations General Assembly and are intended to be achieved by 2030. Higher educational institutions are essential actors in the promotion of the lifelong learning, educating the students coming from a diverse population in different stages of their personal and professional lives. This summit will be an annual event for the next 5 years until 2030 and will help higher education institutions to share knowledge and align the SDGs to all their institutional activities. In the words of Gro Harlem Brundtland, who is a former UN Secretary General, and Ban Ki-moon, former UN Secretary General, sustainable development is a development that meets the needs of the present without compromising on the ability of the future generations to meet their own needs, and we need to act now to protect our planet for future generations. The SDGs are a roadmap for a more sustainable future for all. I end with a beautiful note by the former Norwegian Prime Minister that resonates the idea behind the International Summit and establishment of the Nazareth SDG Transformation Center. A little less conversation and little more action. Welcome to the International Summit 2025. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam. We are honored to have with us today a distinguished panel of experts who will officially inaugurate this summit. Please join with me in welcoming Dr. Daniel Erilarasu, Regional Coordinator, India INCH, and Dr. Balasubramanian Munusamy, Chief Development Goals Specialist, UNDP SDG TN, to deliver the inaugural address.
Honorable Chief Guest of this summit, Dr. Balasubramaniam, Mr. Henry, the Secretary of this college, the Principal, Vice Principal, and distinguished guests on this dais, and my dear faculty members from different colleges in our country, particularly from the INCH colleges. INCH, International Network for Christian Higher Education. INCH is a global organization spread over 6 continents in the world. And we are extremely happy to join hands with the Nazareth College of Arts and Science in promoting SDG, Sustainable Development Goals. Last week, I was here for some other function, and I was wondering why Henry is so stingy. பணம் செலவு பண்ணுறதுக்கு ரொம்ப அதுதானே ஸ்டிஞ்சின்னு அர்த்தமா ஸ்டிஞ்ச் in making a board like this, which is not very impressive for a person like me who used to see impressive boards in the same college. Today, I have understood that it's all because of this SDG, Sustainable Development Goals. No plastics anywhere. I think even this piece of glass cover, covering the glasses, this is also wood, not plastic. But last time it was plastic some years ago. I think this college saves money, okay. Yeah. And this college is moving everything towards SDG. I'm very happy, and I think the whole world will be very happy about Nazareth College of Arts and Science. Not only that, I also sat there for a few minutes when Angeline was giving a brief address. I was trying to count the number of slots. There are 17 slots. There are 17 goals of SDG, and to indicate that they have got this kind of 17, I don't know whether you have counted, but I have counted. There are 17. Yes, there are 17. That means in each and everything, the college is moving towards SDG. That is what is more important. Making conscious of what we are doing in our own colleges and how to map it, how to convert all those things that we are doing as a productive one to show to people that this is what we are doing. Many people don't know what we are doing, but only when you make a visibility of what we are doing, people will understand what we are doing. Today, when I was sitting in the principal's office again, secretary's office again, he was telling me, sir, did you see the board? All these things are written by my own students. Yes, it is written by the own students. We can understand. It's nice, beautiful. நம்ம வீட்டில் இருக்கிற குழந்தைங்க சின்னது செஞ்சால் கூட நல்லா இல்லைன்னு சொன்னால் கூட அவர் ரொம்ப நல்லா இருக்குது, பியூட்டிஃபுல், ஃபேண்டாஸ்டிக். என் பேரன் ஒருத்தர் இருக்கான், அவன் ஒரு படம் வரைவான் அப்படி இப்படி, என்னடா இவ்வளோ அழகாக வரைஞ்சிருக்கிறியே, பியூட்டிஃபுல், ஃபேண்டாஸ்டிக் அப்படின்னு சொல்லுவோம். That is the way we encourage the child to become an artist future. He will become a great artist. Similarly, our college is involved in making every student to use their small talents that they have to grow. talents will grow. When I joined Madras Christian College in the year 1972 for my MSc, I cannot speak one sentence in English. One sentence in English. I came from Vellore, where Dr. Radhakrishnan studied, the great president of the country studied. I can't speak one sentence in English. But when once I entered into the college and I came out of the college, so much of my talents have been fulfilled, and we are able to understand what we are, and we are able to talk. Similarly, here also, all your students, madam, you are trying your best to see that all your children develop their talents, and to see that their talents and their skills and abilities are so much. I am sure this college will flourish in every way. And while inaugurating this important summit on SDG, I wish all the participants the very best. It is a small thing, sir, small thing that we always see in our own villages. அந்த காலத்தில் கிராமத்துங்களெல்லாம் போனோம்னா நம்ம என்ன சாப்பிட்டோம்னு சொன்னால் கேழ்வரகு கூழ், கேழ்வரகு களி, இதுதான் நம்ம சாப்பிடுவாங்க அங்கே இருக்கிற. நான் நினைக்கிறது அவங்களுக்கெல்லாம் ஒன்றும் இல்லை, காசு இல்லை, அரிசி வாங்கிறதுக்கு காசு இல்லை, அதனால அவங்க அதை சாப்பிட்றாங்க அப்படின்னு நான் நினச்சா, என்னைக்கு அதுதான் ரிச்சஸ்ட் ஃபுட்டாக இருக்குது. ரிச்சஸ்ட் ஃபுட். என்னால் ரைஸ் சாப்பிட முடியல. இப்போது நான் போயிட்டு எங்கள் வீட்டில் அம்மா களி செஞ்சியா, சப்பாத்தி செஞ்சியா, அதுலேயே கேழ்வரகு தோசை செய்கிறியா அப்படின்னு நம்ம கேட்குறோம். தட் இஸ் வாட் இஸ் த வேர்ல்டு டுடே. ஸோ we had a rich culture, rich food. We were not able to recognize then, but now we are able to recognize. That is what is happening in SDG. What we are doing, we have to recognize it, map it, and show to the world, yes, we are on the path of self-sustainability. We are on the path of development. We are on the path of growing. We are in the path of shaping our children, shaping the young people to become great leaders of this world, great leaders of this country. That is what we are all doing, but without knowing we are doing. But what my friend Henry is doing is, sir, don't do without knowing, do with knowing. You are all doing very well. Please be happy that you are all doing, and let us all be happy to see that our children grow with so much of talents, skills, abilities, values, all these things which involve sustainable development goals. And these 17 development goals which the United Nations wants us to see by 2030, yes, all of us are involved, but you have to show to the world, yes, we have to be able to complete. And thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to make this inaugural address. And I wish you all the best of learning experience for these 2 days here in Nazareth College. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Now I invite Dr. Bala Subramanian to address the gathering.
Very good morning to all of you. I'm a bit humbled with the kind of initiative that this organization, this institution has taken. Dignitaries on and off the dais, and I heard that there are close to around 25 colleges representing here, which is a great audience to see here, because that is exactly what we wanted. Welcome you all for this wonderful summit. Now we represent United Nations Development Program. United Nations Development Program, in partnership with the government of Tamil Nadu, had set up Sustainable Development Goals Coordination Center. Now we heard from Dr. Mary and another sir coming here, Dr. Shirley, Dr. Daniel, Dr. Daniel talking about SDGs. Now SDGs was set up way back in 2015, and we are now in 2025, and we have another 5 years to go. And that is something that every nation across the world is trying to achieve the target set for 2030. In Tamil Nadu, the government had taken this very forward thinking of setting up a coordination center for the state of Tamil Nadu in terms of achieving the sustainable development goals. Now, as Sir was mentioning, you talk about anything, whatever, whether you teach health sciences or arts or commerce or education on any other subject, whatever you teach, everything has a link to SDGs. As rightly said in the previous talk, all of this we are actually doing on certain aspects in certain having a certain approach, but there is a standard that is given at the global level. Now, where is this coming from? Globally, all these 193 countries have come together and have explored what are the various challenges this world faces, be it social, economic, environment, whatever the initiatives that we are taking, both from the government or from the academia or from the civil society organization, be it climate change, the renewable energy, or the unemployment scenario, the health, access to health or access to quality education. All of this has certain gaps that we have. Globally, we have gaps. And each of our countries, each of the different nations which is part of this global sustainable development goals have the gaps that we need to fill in. And that is what exactly United Nations is trying to do in coordination with several stakeholders like you, and academia being one of the key pillars of the in achieving the SDGs, because you are shaping the future leaders of the world. Now, in the next session, I'll be actually giving a very detailed discussion of how this can be achieved, and to also tell you, just to highlight the point that we from SDG Coordination Center have advocated a new policy for the government of Tamil Nadu to come out with SDG clubs in higher education institutions and schools across Tamil Nadu. And this is something that the government of Tamil Nadu had agreed to, and this may possibly come in the announcement in the Legislative Assembly in the days to come. But I'm very happy to see a college like Nazareth had thought through this. That's what I was actually telling to the principal and sir as well, in terms of how forward-thinking this college is. I mean, of course, when I was traveling, the distance that it took and the narrow lanes that I had to come and reach to this place. But you are at the center of the world, I think. Though we have traveled through the narrow lines to reach some remote location, but you are at the center of the cynosure of SDG, I could say, for the fact that the college had thought through this. Because what we are trying to do, because whatever the government of Tamil Nadu is trying to do now in Tamil Nadu is also first of its kind in India. While such SDG clubs are quite common in developed countries, where, the Ivy Leagues, for example, they have SDG clubs and everything they link, right from the research that they do, right from the outreach activities that they do. You must be knowing there are all these different transitions that we see around the world, right? There is a great digital transition that is happening, AI, machine learning, data analytics, neuroscience, and the health aspect related to that. Now, all of that is actually getting integrated into the curricula. The same way, sustainability, because sustainability is the way of life that each one of us need to play, including the example that was given about the background and the various sustainable products that we use, the use of water, the use of fossil fuels, and several other aspects, is something that everybody knows that we need to integrate, but somehow there is no standard way of making it happen. And that's why they have coined the word called education for sustainable development. While education per se is already there, and there's a whole lot of stress on the various core subjects that you're teaching apart from languages, but in terms of integrating this digital transition and sustainability transition that need to happen together, because both of it is happening simultaneously in the current context that we are in. Digital transition, social transformation, industrial revolution, all of that happened at various stages. But we are at a stage where all of these are coming together and we need to prepare ourselves to make that happen. That includes making people think sustainably on the various options that they have in front of them, and also to adopt to the new transitions that is happening for them to be more employable or more entrepreneurial in terms of the way that they take up their livelihoods and life. So I've not made a very formal presentation as inauguration, but from the crux of what I want to say is that there is a huge relevance and importance that the integration of SDGs have in the education, which Nazareth College have actually done it. And this would possibly set an example, or possibly what we can say is as case study for the larger launch that we are planning to have for all colleges, because that when that notification comes, it is going to be kind of compulsory for all the colleges to adopt. But at least we have a case study now to say that there is a college which is actually working on this and trying to work together and coming out with a framework. In fact, we have a framework which we will present in the next session, but we also wanted to understand your framework, including the MAP SDGs that you're trying to do, and see what are the best practices and what are the cross-learning that we could have to strengthen the model, strengthen the framework for every other colleges in Tamil Nadu to follow. And I sincerely wish and hope this initiative succeeds. And I heard that this conference is going to be for the next 5 years. And we are also calling ourselves, we call ourselves SDG Coordination Center, but we are now actually renaming ourselves as SDG Acceleration Center, because it's only next 5 years. So we'll have to accelerate our efforts. Good to see a college trying to have this conference for the next 5 years. So I'm sure this is going to set an example. And we at UNDP SDG Coordination Center in Tamil Nadu would be happy to assist in any possible manner in making this initiative a great success. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Now we have a special address. We are privileged to have Mr. Margaret Vijay S. is an accomplished academic professional with over 16 years of experience in teaching, educational administration, rankings and strategic planning. Currently serving as the director of the Center for Open and Distant Learning, CODL, and director of Global Ranking and Data Analyst at Villa College, Maldives. Mr. Vijay joining us for a special address. Although Mr. Vijay is unable to be with us in person, he will be sharing his insights with us through online platform. Let us virtually welcome him as he shares his valuable perspectives on sustainable education.
Am I audible? Am I audible to you?
Yes, Mr. Kindly present.
So, so can I share the screen, or anybody sharing from there?
Good morning, sir. Could you please start the session, sir?
Am I audible now?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Can anybody share my presentation from there?
Vijay, can you start presenting?
I don't have access to start the presentation. The host disabled the participants to share the screen. Okay, can you go to the first slide?
Oh, he's coming for the session, 11 o'clock. They should say they have the access.
If I audible means I can start the presentation now. Let me start the presentation. I hope, I hope all of you can see my presentation now, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, okay. Thank you so much. And then sorry for the technical glitch. And this will happen in all these kind of arrangements. I hope it's fine for everyone. And let me start my presentation. And thank you, Nazareth College and all the organizers of this wonderful, summit on SDG Knowledge and Education 2025. So myself, I'm Vijay. I'm the director for Center for Open and Distance Learning, Willow College, Maldives. So it's nice to be a part of this SDG Knowledge Education Fair and 2025. So without wasting time, let me go into my presentation. So the first thing, even the chief guest also highlighted about this SDG. SDG is introduced, the Sustainable Development Goal is introduced in 2015 by United Nations, which comprise 17 goals with 169 targets. So what is the main target? What is the main role of this introduction of Sustainable Development Goal is to cover the aspects of economic, social, environmental dimensions, and with the main concept of no one is left behind. So in order to make the sustainable planet, so we all know about the background of this SDG. We all know what's the purpose of this SDG, and we know the target is set to up to 2030. So which means that we have only 5 more years to achieve. So the beauty of this SDG goals, so if you look into these 17 goals, if you look into all the aspects of these 17 goals, all these goals are interconnected with each other. So if we have progress in one goal, it accelerates the success of other goals. So that is how these goals are interconnected with each other. So now the focus for me is, for this presentation is, what is the role of higher education in achieving this SDG? So we have SDG goals. We have goals from no poverty to peace, justice, and strong institutions. So like that, we have plenty of goals are there. But what is the role? What's the role of higher education? Even the chief guest is also addressed the contribution of this Nazareth College in achieving this SDG. So it is very important this higher educations take a major role in achieving these SDGs, because the higher education institutions are the key agents for the changes. So in what are the ways that the higher education can contribute to the achievement of SDG is the higher education institutions can provide the knowledge hub. So generating the research and innovations to solve the global challenges. So we all familiar with the global challenges like global warming. So likewise, there are so many global challenges are there, that global warming is one. Like that, there are plenty of other global challenges also there. The epidemic also is another global challenges, and how we are going to combat with these global challenges with research. So the research and innovation is something that is a part of these achievements, and that can be generated, that can be induced by these higher education institutions. And also developing the leaders, so developing the future leaders. So this is also something that the higher education institutions can have a major mandate as a role for achieving the sustainable development goal, and also influencing the policies. So one of the challenges, in achieving the sustainable development goal is there is discrepancies on the implementation of the policies across the globe, because the countries have the different policies, the countries have different regulations, and the evidence-based policies which applies to local, national, and the global level, that can be refined through these researches, through these policy briefings, through the policy discussions. So these are all some ways how the higher education institutions can contribute for the development of SDGs. So when we look into these research aspects, okay, I won't take much time, just so I want to put some insight on what is happening. So according to 2024 UN SDG report, it says that 2 billion people are still live without the safely managed drinking water. So all of us are having a water on our table now, but that is not the same for everyone in the world. So 2 billion people right now, even now, 2 billion people are without safely managed drinking water, and 3 billion people are without safely managed sanitation, and 1.4 billion people are without basic hygiene services. So now the question is, what the higher education institutions are going to do that. So the chief guest also mentioned about the digital transformation and the social transformations have to go hand in hand. Yes, I also agree with the same. So the social transformations can be possible with the contribution of higher education institutions. So the higher education institutions like Nazareth College and other institutions across the globe plays a major role in achieving the SDG goals. It is not only for this water, it is also for the renewable energy. When we look into this renewable energy, currently 685 million people still lack electricity. So if you look into the graph, in the left hand side I have put a graph there. You can see still there are countries where we don't have the data whether they have electricity or not. Still we have countries where they have less number of electricity access in their country. So without faster progress, by 2030, that is the target that's set for this SDG, around 1.8 billion people will still prepare meals by using the polluting stoves and the fuels. But there are alternatives, right? There are alternatives, but the question here is, how much of those alternatives reach each and every individuals? Are we closer to not leaving anyone behind, or there are still people who are behind? That's the question that I want to put in front of the everyone here when we talk about this implementation of sustainable development goals. When we look into the climate actions, that's still interesting. The climate action. So when we compare the climate, when we compare the increase in global warming, the temperature. So how much the temperature will increase by 2030? So from the statistics, it's very interesting to see by 2030, the global temperature could rise up to 1.5 degrees centigrade, causing irreversible damage. We know in this year, we know what happened in Los Angeles. right? We know what happened there and what devastating damage is made by the wildfire. All this, all this, it's a part of global warming. So drastic reduction in the global greenhouse gas emissions must take place by 2030, and we need to reach net zero by 2050. So here, in order to achieve this goal, the research laboratories, the research institutions, innovation labs, digital labs, in higher education institutions, everyone have the role. Everyone have to contribute in order to achieve this, in order to reduce the impact or the damage of these global changes. The next point I want to put in front of everyone is how much of the community engagements. It's not only about the research. It's not only the catalyst of social transformation is not only happening on the research laboratories or the innovation labs. It is happening on the field as well. So the contribution of higher education institutions is also on the field, on the local, on the community, on the society. How much time that we are spending, how much time we can spend, how much time we can utilize on the community engagement activities. When you look into this, the statistics, it says more than half of the world population is not covered with the basic health services. It's huge, isn't it? More than half of the world population. And the global response to it, but we always not say that, okay, it's not happening, but there are something good is also happening. So the global response to these infectious diseases saved millions of lives. See, just 10 years before, in 2015, when Ebola outbreak happened in Africa, the joint partnership with UN and other institutions and the countries, it stopped the impact of Ebola in Africa. And what happened in 2019 and 2020, the COVID pandemic, everyone joined together, the entire world joined together in order to suppress the effect of COVID. And we succeeded, right? So that is also is happening at the positive side. But still, we need sustained efforts and we need innovative strategies. So this is what the message that we want to take it. We have a lot of innovations, we have a lot of social transformations, but still we are in need. We not even achieve 50% of what we targeted for 2030. So we still need to have more innovations. We need to have innovative strategies in order to combat all these challenges. The next point I want to put in front of everyone is the equality or inequalities, or we can say equality or inequalities. Everyone is not equal. The inclusive society, the social transformation, one of the key pillars of the social transformation is inclusive society. But when you look into the current scenarios which happening in Israel, in Ukraine, and in different part of the world, because of the conflict, because of the geopolitics, there are more number of refugees, there are more number of migrants who are migrating and displacing from their home countries to that unknown people, to a foreign land. So what is the problem on this is more people die on the migration route. They may migrating on the unsafe roads, or they may migrating in the unsafe channels. Because of that, more number of people, more number of deaths recorded in 2023 on the migration route. And also the refugees worldwide, it's reaching a historic high. And the number of refugees are increasing, which means like 461 refugees for every 1 lakh people. But if you compare the same statistics with 2015, it is just 260. But now it doubled. So the number of refugees are increasing. Okay, now the question to everyone here is, how can we support? How we can support as a higher education institution, how we can support to these refugees, how we can support to the people who displaced from their homeland. That is something that we need to have the policies, we need to have initiatives, and we need to have certain procedures to address those underrepresented groups as well. Interdisciplinary approach. Now currently, almost all the higher education institutions focusing on interdisciplinary programs, interdisciplinary researches, in order to address the complex global issues. Overfishing, pollution, climate change, all these can be compact with the help of interdisciplinary courses or interdisciplinary researches. Approximately 67% of the world populations are online by 2023. 67% are online, which means that 1 in 3 people are still offline. They don't have the resources. So we talk about digital transformations, right? We talk about digital transformations, we talk about innovations, but one fact is we still have digital divide. We have people who don't have access to these digital resources. So if we have those digital divide, the social transformations, the digital transformations have challenges to implement, and also we have challenges or we have hurdles to achieve the goals. So the role of higher education institutions in order to bridge this gap, it's very essential. How this is possible? We so far we talk about some of the challenges or some of the gaps that we have in order to achieve the SDG goals. One of the factor is education for sustainable development, ESD, integrating sustainability practices across all the disciplines. Even uh, um, almost all the education institutions, or most of the education institutions who are focused on sustainable development, like Nazareth College, we already started integrating. So I'm integrating the sustainability concepts in terms of projects, in terms of internships, in terms of researchers, in terms of curricula. So with all these, the students are equipped with the knowledge and skills needed to be the sustainability ambassadors or the future sustainable leaders, right? So this is what something that we have to do. The education institutions have to focus more on implementing the sustainability concepts into the curriculum. So when we talk about the digital access, recently I read the World Economic Forum Future Job Report 2025. In that report, it's very clearly mentioned 60% of the employees are expecting to transform their businesses by 2030, which means the job which is now currently available, it's not going to be in 2030, or the job needs to be a transformation. So now the challenge for the education institutions is to prepare the future students, to prepare the future employees for the job which is not exist now, or the job which is going to transform. So that is the challenge. So if you want to if you want to prepare our students for the future jobs, we need to integrate the sustainability concepts into the curriculum. There are a few points I want to put it on the in front of all the audience, like the possibility of integrating the sustainability or the possibility of achieving the sustainability goal. It's through global partnership. Universities can collaborate with the universities and with the industries as well. The gap between the industry and the academia needs to be narrowed. So we have partnerships, we need to develop partnerships, we need to do networking, and we need to increase our international research networks. And very importantly, the gap between the industry and academia has to be bridged in order to jointly compact the challenges that we have and achieve the sustainability development goals. And informing the government and influencing the government and international agencies with an evidence-based solutions on the policy briefing and also the policy documents as well. Um, Finally, towards the end, I just want to put one more message to everyone here. One of the major challenge of achieving the SDG is we don't have data. The data is missing, right? Even when you look into the UN 2024 sustainability report, there are many indicators where it's not possible to measure whether we are achieving, whether we are on track or not, because of the unavailability of the data. So the impact matrices, higher education institutions have to do a lot of initiatives and also needs to measure how much impactful those initiatives are. So the number of SDGs aligned with research publications, the number of initiatives focused on sustainability, the number of community development programs and the global outreach programs that we provided, all these has to be measured, all these has to be documented, reported, and measured. So we have plenty of tools for that. One such tool, that is Map SDG, also could be useful. Integrating sustainability with the key indicators for the institutions can be mapped by aligning with the tools like Map SDGs. So even Map SDGs, I'm happy to say that we also working with the Nazareth and this Map SDG group in order to integrate or in order to measure our contribution on SDG by using this Map SDG tool. So matrices and mapping and matrices, it's very important in order to measure the impact. Finally, the challenges and opportunities. Even though we have challenges like limited resources, access disparities, lack of awareness, lack of data, lack of measurements challenges, and also resistance to change, we have plenty of opportunities. We have opportunities like digital educations. We have opportunities on fostering on innovations, ecosystems, and interdisciplinary learning, green initiatives, students' engagements, global industry partnerships, and also the community engagements. We have plenty of opportunities. The innovations, the digital innovations brought us plenty of opportunities for implementing or initiating a lot of initiations which can achieve the sustainability development goals. So what we need to do, the call for action, we have to continuously embody the sustainability development goal into the policies, curricula, and the campus operations. And also we need to foster the curriculum or the culture of innovations, inclusions, and the global citizenships, and collaborate beyond the borders to make a large impact. So my final statement on this dais is higher education institutions are the key actors for achieving the sustainability development goals, and the higher education institutions holds the keys to unlock the sustainability development and create a world where no one is left behind. Thank you for this opportunity. Thank you so much. And I wish all the best for all the participants and also the speakers of this summit. And thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Now it's time to invite Dr. R. Srinivasan on the dais, please.
Yeah.
Ladies.
Ladies and gentlemen, we now move to the felicitation segment where we have the privilege of sharing from two distinguished individuals. First, we are honored to welcome Dr. Shirley Rolls, Executive Director of International Network for Christian Higher Education, INCH, who is joining us online. Though she is not with us in person, her wisdom and message will surely inspire us all. Let us warmly welcome Dr. Shirley Rolls as she addresses the gathering.
Welcome to this important occasion hosted by the International Network for Christian Higher Education in India. I'm Shirley Rules. I'm the Executive Director of the International Network for Christian Higher Education, and I'm delighted that you are together learning at this important professional development event. Why should we care about sustainable development? Because we are Christian universities and colleges, and we are biblically based. And we know that from the beginning of the creation that God made, we are humans endowed in his creation to do what? As Genesis 2 verse 15 says, we are endowed to both work the creation and take care of it. So our obligation for both development and care begins at the very beginning of human existence. Of course, now, that calling from God for us is complicated in the 21st century by two important factors. First, we know how many people around us are poor, and we know how much they need economic development and community development so that they can flourish in their lives. And we know that their development takes electricity and it takes fuel to be able to help them flourish. But we also know in the 21st century so much about climate change. We know that climate change is melting the polar ice caps and the seas around us are rising. And we know that climate change is affecting our weather patterns in dramatic ways, whether through typhoons or flooding or drought, there are massive ramifications to what we as human beings have done to the environment in which we live on this earth. And so these are big challenges as we look ahead. So what do we need to do, and what do you need to think about when you are together? I would encourage you to think about, how do we care biblically? How do we understand what the Bible says about our responsibilities as human beings, and how do we teach that to our students? Secondly, how do we care knowledgeably? How do we use what we have learned from the sciences and from the social sciences about how best and effectively to care for our world and to reduce the effects of climate change? And finally, how do we care creatively? We have to creatively look for innovations that will allow people to flourish and develop at the same time they are good for the environment and the world that we live in. So thank you for drawing together at this gathering. I'm appreciative to Daniel Esolarasu for planning this event, and to Henry Maris and the Nazareth College of Arts and Sciences for hosting it. May you have excellent time together in learning and thinking about these matters, and go home eager to teach what you have learned to your students.
Thank you, Dr. Shirley Rolls, for your invaluable words and support. Now I invite Mr. A.N. Henry Maris, Secretary of Nazareth College of Arts and Science, to honor Dr. Bala Subramanian.
Now I invite our principal, Dr. E. Mary Angelin, Nazareth College of Arts and Science, to honor Dr. R. Srinivasan. Now I invite Dr. Manore Ranjidam, Vice Principal, Nazareth College of Arts and Science, to honor Dr. Daniel Erilarasu. Next, it's our pleasure to invite Mr. N. Henry Maris, Secretary of Nazareth College of Arts and Science, to share his thoughts and words of encouragement. Please join me in welcoming him.
Good morning. We live in a paradox. When UN had implemented this, wanted to implement this SDG, it was in 2015. Today, we are in 2025. Unfortunately, not all education institutions are aware of what is SDG, how they can relate education to SDGs. We are actually running short of time. This meeting is also, we are also running short of time. So I'm not going to talk much, but just wanted to give you two simple examples of two countries where it has been such a successful where they were able to see an impact. Number one is the Finland. Finland has got, right from the school, they implement SDGs. That is why they rank first. There are 193 countries which are part of the UN. Out of 193 countries, there are only 166 countries have got data even to submit to the UN so that they could be ranked. There are still more countries, even they don't have the data to also submit. India is able to submit most of the data, but if you, I was trying to Google the data for the state-wise. I think we still have got a long way to go in terms of, we are 109th as per the UN in the last 2024, we rank 109. The green flag certification program by Sweden makes them to be second. We need to have some flagship program, as our chief guest said. They have been working so hard. I'm sure next 5 years is going to be interesting year for all of us as education an institution. We all have to join together, work towards these goals so that together we see a change. So I really wish this summit a great time of learning and success. And with this few words, wishing everyone all the best here. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your encouraging words and unwavering support for this summit. We are deeply grateful to all our esteemed guests for the contribution to today's inauguration. To conclude this session, I now invite Ms. Alamelu, Dean of IQSC, Head of the Department of Mathematics of Nazareth College of Arts and Science, to deliver the vote of thanks.
Good morning, distinguished guests, speakers, participants, and faculty. It is with great pleasure that I stand before you today to extend my heartfelt thanks and appreciation to all those who made this inauguration of the International Summit on SDG Knowledge and Education 2025 as a remarkable success. Firstly, I would like to express my sincere gratitude to our esteemed guests and speakers. Mr. Bala Subramanian, Development Goal Specialist from UNDP, Tamil Nadu SDG Coordination Center. Thank you, sir. Mr. Dr. Daniel Erilarasu, Regional Coordinator of INJ, whose deep knowledge and commitment to SDG education continue to inspire and guide us all. Thank you, sir. Ms. Shirley Rolls, Executive Director of INJ, for her inspiring leadership and the pivotal role she plays in advancing SDG education globally. Mr. Margaret Vijay, Director of Villa College, Maldives, for his contributions and unwavering dedication to educational excellence and SDG progress. I also like to extend a very special thank to the following individuals for their instrumental support. Mr. A.N. Henry Maris, Secretary and Chief Sustainability Officer at Nazareth Group of Institutions and CEO of MAP SDG, for your dedication to sustainability and your continued effort to drive meaningful change. Thank you, sir. Dr. Mary Angeline, Principal and Director of Advisory and Research at the Nazareth SDG Transformation Center, NCIS, for your tireless commitment to SDG transformation in higher education. Thank you, ma'am. Dr. Manoranjitam, Vice Principal and Dean of Academics, Head, Department of Computer Science, for your leadership and contribution to making this event a success. Thank you, ma'am. I would extend here sincere thanks to Dr. S. Srinivasa Raghavan, Senior Professor, Chair School of Library and Information Science, Bharatiyar University, Bharatdasan University, Tiruchirappalli. Thank you, sir. I would like to extend thanks to this all the participants from various educational institutions, faculty and students who have been supportive in every aspect of organizing this team. Once again, I thank you all. Sorry, I would like to thank Dr. R. Srinivasan, Member State Planning. Thank you, sir. Sorry, sir.
Thank you, madam, for your heartfelt vote of thanks. We now conclude the inaugural session of the International Summit on SDG Knowledge and Education 2025. We look forward to an enriching and engaging series of discussion, workshops, and collaborations in the upcoming sessions. Thank you all for your presence, and let us continue our efforts towards creating a more sustainable future through education. Ladies and gentlemen, we will now take a short tea break. Please be back by 12 o'clock as we begin the session of the summit. Enjoy your refreshment. Guest snacks and tea is being served at the boardroom. Staff and participants' tea and snacks is being served at the seminar hall in the same building, ground floor. Thank you.
Dear participants, please kindly join us. We are about to start the session. Now I invite Dr. Srinivasan on the dais. Welcome back, everyone. We now begin the first session of the day. It is my honor to introduce Dr. Srinivasan, full-time member, State Planning Commission, Government of Tamil Nadu, former professor, Department of Econometrics, University of Madras. Let us welcome Dr. Srinivasan to lead this session about ensuring quality education.
Good morning, everyone. I thank the Nazareth College for giving me this opportunity to talk to you on ensuring quality education. As you all know, education is an experiential good. What is an experiential good? For example, the dress, one can see, understand the quality, the comfort that you can get. So all those things can be evaluated before we wear the dress. Similarly, a building or an automobile, anything. Whereas education can be understood only when you experience that. You cannot understand education before you pay the fee. All other things, you pay a price, but you will know the aspects of the product that you are going to get. Whereas you are totally blindfolded when you come to education. Till 1 minute back, you were not aware what I would be talking. But now, as you experience what I talk, you come to know that this is what I am going to convey. So, experience good is very tricky. How do I spend 12 years of my formative stages as a child in a school, even without knowing what I would get there? That can totally spoil my life. If I don't get the education, the experience that is needed for me to continue my life for another 50 to 60 years. And of course, as a child, I cannot understand that. Similarly, when as a student in a college, I come in the prime of my life, the youth. I come to a college. And that prime time, I am spending without knowing what the college has got to offer. What sort of knowledge and skill that it will help me to form. but I pay a huge fee. So, education is such a good that every one of us takes it without knowing what it is. Therefore, we rely on all other sources of information about that education. Our parents depend on all other sources of education to put the child in a school. Similarly, we do for a college. This, what we call it as asymmetric information. Still, that information is only offered to the extent that could be offered by the teacher or the institution. Suppose I need to sell a car, my old car. Who has the best knowledge of the quality of the car? Huh? Only I know. The mechanic can also see around, but I'll have the best knowledge of the quality of the car. Will I reveal everything? Particularly the drawbacks. Whatever is visible to you, you can understand the scratches, the dent, or the kilometers, the life of the car till now. So all those things you can. But nitty-gritty of the quality of the car is known only to me, which I would never reveal. So what you would do, you should incentivize me to reveal that. So without an incentive, I would not reveal the quality of the car. So what is that incentive? You say that I have a basic price. If it has these qualities. If you say that you have much more than that, then I would offer a higher price. So this is what most of the second-hand car dealers would do. So incentivizing someone to reveal the inner secrets of the product. Whether that can be done in a college or a school? Obviously not. Therefore, we need some other agency to tell us and to ensure that these attributes or these characteristics are there in this person who has been certified by us. Suppose I say someone completed 10th or 12th standard, or someone completed BA or BSc. Then the society should know what are all the attributes or characteristics or skills that I can expect from that person. Suppose I travel in a bus, my co-traveler is a doctorate in science. I expect him to be very scientific in his approach towards the relationship with me, because he has been so well trained to have a scientific temper, irrespective of the subject that he has specialized in. Or I meet a computer scientist who has done an MSc or a MTech in computer science. I am expecting him to tell me something about the evolving science, particularly in computer science, and how it would go about in future, what are the problems in data privacy, so on and so forth. So there is certain minimum that we expect from all these so-called educated youth, depending upon the stage at which they have acquired their certificates. So what I am trying to understand in this whole process while I do this is, who is telling us these things? Will anyone tell us or told us till now that these are all the attributes of a school graduate? Or did we realize when we graduated out of school that these are all the attributes that I've acquired? Why this stunning silence? Isn't it? So, this itself makes us to shiver in our shoes. Isn't it? We have graduated out of institutions. We are helping thousands of other students to graduate out without even ensuring what are the characteristics one should possess to get that certificate. Because in economics, we call this degree as a filter. Kenneth Arrow, and Nobel laureate, said, what is this filter? The filter tells the society or the prospective employer that he has been filtered among others and therefore he has got these qualities. So that certificate tells me something about him. So it distinguishes between well-learned and not so well-learned, and educated and not so educated, yet trained and not so trained in a particular discipline or in an overall educational field. So when that certificate, if I turn that, I should know that a holder of the certificate has these attributes. But we never say that. Any product you buy, you would like to know that there is a brochure to it which tells us what the product is, what are the qualities, what are the other structures, how it has to be used, and if you have problems, how troubleshooting should be done. So all those things are done in a product, whereas when you are certifying Srinivasan possessing a PhD in economics, but you don't say that what he has got to offer to the society or to an employer. So we blissfully think this ignorance is full of knowledge. Actually, I am ignorant about what I possess, or the society is ignorant of what I possess, but still we have full of knowledge about all this, or we assume. So this assumption is a total vacuum which we'll have to remove. I strongly believe we start from the objective of any program, whether it is a school or a college. First of all, I should know as a student. Similarly, the parents should know, the teacher should know, the organization which runs the institution should know, and the regulation which is done by the government or a government body or an autonomous body like a school board or a university should know. So they should tell us that these are all the objectives of a school education. So someone is certified after 10 years or 12 years, then these are all the things that you can expect from that person. Obviously, it can be an academic qualification, which means he has got a mastery over 3 or 4 subjects. It could be English, Tamil, mathematics, some sciences, history, knowledge, whatever it is. So I have got certain academic knowledge of these various subjects. But what we fail to understand is whether the scholastic knowledge itself is knowledge, or there can be something more than this, or something different from this. I find, for instance, many creative writers, I think they are more philosophical than philosophers who are trained in philosophy. Because unless you generalize human behavior, you cannot write a story. a storyteller should tell a story that is appealing to most of us. How it could be appealing to most of us? Only when most of us can conceive that sort of a human behavior. My behavior will be appealing to people who are around me because out of love and affection. But how it could be appealing to most of us in the society? Even if I reveal one of my personal experiences? Obviously not. So, a storyteller should be able to philosophize the particular experience and then bring out a story, though it is supposed to be so personal account of a particular individual as it appears to be, but actually it is a philosophical, normalized, generalized human behavior that the writer puts across to the society. So, a creative writer also has got certain things like that. Assume that a musician has terrific sense of timing, because without rhythm there is no music, and rhythm follows certain mathematical patterns. Many of us would claim that we don't like mathematics and they shift on to certain other subjects, but inherently they have a mathematical process that is happening in the mind which helps them to perform in that music or dance. So, can we also consider fine arts as form of education that we would normally get in other scholastic subjects like English, Tamil, mathematics, science? As much as these subjects helps me to understand the world, so too performing arts would help me to understand, because they are also expressions of knowledge. They are also expressions of experience. So too mathematics and science. So in this country we have failed to consider many of the other so-called non-scholastic subjects as something that can also be used on par with scholastic subjects and can be certified as school leaving certificate. All that requires is a minimal literacy and numeracy. Beyond that, if a person specializes in music or dance or art or any other form of art, should also be recognized and certified as educated as anyone else in the 5 subjects that we normally do. When are we going to do this? Is it? That is different. Recognition of prior learning is different. First of all, recognition of a subject itself is difficult. Recognition of music as a subject, recognition of dance as a subject, recognition of creative art as a subject itself is not being done. Why this is so? Because, first of all, I did not get the objective of what is academic learning. Academic learning is not about learning subjects. It is also about discipline of learning. Because every academic subject has got a process in which the knowledge has to be acquired. If you ask a second standard or a third standard student why he or she should learn multiplication and tables, will be very furious, because that child doesn't know. But that is a building block to understand the whole process of mathematics, of induction knowledge later. But these are all building blocks. So too it happens in any other art. So what I'm trying to tell you is, we'll have to be very clear about the objectives of our education. If we are very blank about it, then whatever we do will be education, and there will be nothing left thereafter. If you start thinking in this process, you would not stop with academic learning. You will also think about human behavior itself as a formation of learning. You would have heard today many parents do homeschooling. It is picking up in India also. But one of the vital characteristics of any human being is to move with others, to socialize, to understand the society, the values, and to accommodate others' problems as my own, to empathize with others. All these things can happen only if you are in an educational institution. Think back, how many days after you left the college, you spent your time with 60 people for 6 hours a day? Other than teachers, much of our life, from our age 5 to 25 or 24, for half of the year every year, we spent with 60 of our friends every day for 6 hours. What a great learning of society that could be. I may not remember all my 60 friends in every class, but that has inherently formed my character. How do I accommodate others in my life? So that only tells me what I should be. So when that is a very big part of our learning in an institution like this, and that has to be ensured, and that has to be tested and assessed. What is my empathy in the society? What is my understanding of social values? What is the understanding of the social prejudices? Ultimately, education should liberate my mind from all these prejudices. The purpose of education is not to enforce the tradition. It is also to question the tradition and leave out the bad and get the good. If I cling on to the tradition, then I don't need anyone in this world. I need not move across societies. Why should I have to learn about other religion, other societies, other cultures? Because we keep evolving. The best institutions are those which are evolving, not clinging on to the tradition alone. I don't say tradition is bad, but all that I'm trying to understand is tradition is only one part of my learning, but the better part of my learning is to question the tradition itself. And that is why education is given. If I have to learn only tradition and stick on to the traditional values, it is enough to be at home. My parents, great-grandparents, all of them would teach me and I will learn. Why do I come into the society? Because there are several people of different belief systems, different cultural values, different languages, and different economic status, physical abilities. So unless I am able to understand and empathize and accommodate their lives as part of my own, then I cannot exist as a social being. And that is a great part of learning which can happen only in an educational institution. And that has to be assessed. Unless it is assessed, it will not be taught. In education, they always say, we educate for the test. So we teach the student for him to perform in that test. Unless something is assessed, that will not be taught in the class. So this social learning is something that one has to have. Another important objective of a school education should be our career development. Because we have moved on from a society which is very traditional, as I mentioned earlier, where works are assigned by social groups, communities. Today we have transformed where any vocation can be done by anybody. Therefore, every student should have some understanding of the great possibilities of career that are there before him. Those possibilities should be known. I just did an experiment with some of my students when I worked in a rural college. I asked them when they were in the 4th semester, what do you want to be? Obviously, no, they take the example from what they have learnt. So, only 3 students responded. One wanted to be Manmohan Singh. At that time, he was Prime Minister. The other one wanted to be C. Rangarajan, who was also a former governor of RBI. Then third one wanted to be an auditor. Then I said, okay, fine. Let us do a homework. First, read about them, what they had done in their formative ages, while they were in school, while they were in college. How did they build themselves up? And then how they flourish later. These students did. Then they were very depressed. How can we match them? They have studied in the best of the colleges and then they have traveled abroad. Everyone got a PhD from either England or from US. Therefore, we can't do sitting in a rural college here. I said, that is not a problem. The problem is, you have understood that there is a track to run. I've got a direction for my running. All that I'll have to run. The faster I run, the better and farther the goalpost that I would reach. This is what would motivate you to work. You may not become a Manmohan Singh, you may not become a C. Rangarajan, you may not become an auditor, but definitely you will not be as you are today. Because today, your assumption is nothing. You have no scope. You have no imagination of what you would be after a graduation. Whereas now you know that there are certain skills that I should acquire, and only with those skills I can compete in the market, and I should start acquiring it. So this is the skill, a training that ought to have been given in school. Because I still remember my school principal, the school I studied where my father, my father's brother, everyone studied, because that's how most of the schools are. So when I was in class 6 or 7, my father's brother came to the school, the same principal. So he met him and they were talking. In the evening, my uncle told me, I asked, Father, why did you beat us so much when we were in school? You know what his reply was? Astonishingly, he said, your parents were illiterate. It is my responsibility to see that you complete matriculation. Unlike teachers today, who blame the parents for the children not studying. But the principal takes that ownership. So this is where we understand that who is responsible for one's education. There is one set of literature in economics called as economics of education. Mark Bloch was an exponent of that. He wrote a very famous statement. In developing countries, educational institutions are responsible for the education of the children. In developed countries, the parents are responsible for the education of the children. Why? Because there, the parents can afford to provide education even in a dining table. Whereas in a developing country, the parents cannot afford that education to their own children because all the time they should be working, or they are illiterate, so they don't provide that education that the children need. So children's education in a developing country depends squarely on the educational institutions. And if the educational institutions themselves are not clear about what education for, then what do we expect from those graduates? That's why I strongly emphasize that everyone should realize there are certain attributes that are expected from a graduate, for instance, because this is an higher educational institution. Universities don't tell us what are the attributes of a graduate. Suppose there is a chemistry graduate. The university doesn't tell us after a BSc chemistry, these are all the characteristics you will find in him. Basically, he should be strong in theories in the subject. Second, he should be strong in his lab-related activities, in experimentation, in measurement. Thirdly, he has to be very strong in technical writing. Fourthly, he should be very strong in critical thinking and scientific temper. Fifthly, he should be very strong in interdisciplinary learning, at least within science. Because we compartmentalized knowledge for our own convenience. But our experience will not be compartmentalized by subject. If you take this instrument, a physicist would explain what it is, a material scientist also would explain what it is. But the instrument is the same. As I talk to you, an educationist would interpret my speech differently from that of another person who has got certain other qualification. Therefore, compartmentalization of knowledge is for us to understand and acquire certain basic skills. But life will not wait for your compartmentalization of knowledge. It will always be bombarding us with questions which we require interdisciplinary knowledge to answer many of those questions. And this is how it is also evolving. Therefore, if these 5 attributes, as I said just now, are we ensuring in a graduate? Are we aligning our syllabus with these objectives? Are we aligning our classroom teaching and exercises that the students do so that these objectives are ensured? Are we doing our assessment so that I will certify these attributes are there by this order? If we are able to do this, I think we would be the best institutions in the country. And all these things require, first of all, deciding the attributes or objectives of a program itself is very complicated. It has to be decided after a thorough understanding of the subject and the level of knowledge that is required for a particular graduate program. Thereafter, we should think about what are the other practical attributes that are expected from a person who has specialized for 3 years in a subject. So once these things are done, then we'll have to prepare syllabus, then we'll have to prepare reading material, and then we'll have to prepare pedagogy. This is one place which I find very important and mostly lacking in the educational institution is on pedagogy. I have not come across many teachers who read journals on pedagogy. How many of you are aware of journals of pedagogy in your own subjects? I know at least 6 such journals in economics. Whenever I meet my colleagues, I ask them, have you seen these journals? 99% say that they have not. We all think that knowledge is enough to teach in a higher educational institution. But often we confront in the classroom that the students are not engaged in my teaching. And teaching methods are evolving with the changing characteristics of the students in the classroom. And so much of experiments are being done, almost in all the subjects. I would ask you, sir, and your principal, ensure that every teacher reads at least one journal on pedagogy of the subject. Unless that is done, our classroom experience will not change. Because what transpires in the classroom will decide on what I assess. If I don't change myself in the classroom, obviously I will not change that assessment. So once I change my behavior, my teaching technique, the subject matter that I handle, the processes in which my students learn, then obviously I will be open to an assessment that could be done by a third party. Of course, that person also should know how to assess. That I come later. So this is the second aspect of ensuring quality in the classroom teaching. Obviously, the third and final part depends on assessment. When I studied matriculation, in class 9, 10, 11, we didn't have textbooks. In those days, Madras University used to conduct the matriculation exam. So we had only syllabus. Except English and Tamil, there is no textbook. So obviously, every school, the teacher has to teach something from the syllabus. Obviously, it will be different in different schools. But all answer scripts are valued in the university. And we never had any problems at all. Why? Because there is integrity in the teachers in evaluation, which is lost of late. We started giving key to the teachers. That is a shame. You don't believe the knowledge that the teacher has in evaluating an answer script, rather you give him a key and ask him to evaluate as per the key. A teacher could teach but could not evaluate. Either his knowledge is so shallow that he cannot do it, or his integrity is so questionable that he is not doing it objectively. Either of these two, and both are bad. So unless we give the freedom in the classroom for the teacher to design one's own pedagogy with the broad contours of the syllabus that we give, we can also rely on an assessment that truly reflects the level of knowledge and other characteristics of the student in the assessment. And there are n number of assessments that are coming up. So we'll have to, as many of us would be telling you, or you will also wish, that we'll have to move away from rote memory and get on to application, creativity. Once you move out of memory onto application and creativity, that can be assessed only by a subjective system. And that subjective system can be very objective provided you have an element of integrity in you and you are very transparent in your assessment. As teachers, if we don't have that integrity and we are not subject to any interrogation from outside or from any audit from outside, then obviously such an assessment can never be good. I know a principal may know, sir, we have never done an academic audit of any of the academic processes till now. There is absolutely no transparency. Suppose I scan all the answer sheets and put it on the website along with my assessment, as we do for PhD thesis today. What is wrong? Because I have been evaluated in relation to my friends in the classroom. So I have every right to know where I relatively stand. Where is the question of blindfold here? But that would increase integrity and transparency in the system. So many of these things do happen. It is not that they don't. But they happen in very small experiments in individual institutions here and there. That's why in a vast country like India, we have so many different types of institutions, and therefore institutions are regarded as good and bad by various qualities. Therefore, we should strongly reflect on, as teaching community, what is that the regulatory bodies tell us. I have my own apprehension about all this NAC and NARF. Basically, anything that you are trying to make public about an institution, whether it is your NAC report or NARF ranking, it is to remove, as I initially said, the asymmetric information between students and the institution. But both these processes are so complex that students could never evaluate what is going to get it in the institution. Some of the best institutions by NARF ranking get very low grade in NAC. Some of the best institutions as per NAC accreditation get very low ranking in NARF. That means in two different races I am in two different places, but I am the same person. In one, I run against myself. In NAC, what happens? I would be compared with the previous NAC report, whether I have improved or not. In a NARF, I will be compared with my peers. But somebody should tell the community that why there are two different races, which one to believe, which shows the actual quality of education in the institution, before I send my children there. It doesn't convey anything to me. So, we have many of these regulations that are happening in the country are also, if you deeply think, they give enormous scope for experimentation. That's why educational experience differs between institutions. If all institutions are regulated by the same set of regulations, then every institution should provide the same experience. But experience of learning differs between institutions because there is some element of autonomy within this whole framework where you can make a change in your own institution. Of course, I am very sad that you will have to run the race of NAC, NARF, SDG, all these things. I personally believe that you should not take these things very seriously. Because many of these things can be engineered, doctored, and reports can be produced. There are specialized institutions to help us doing it. But what is that we need to convey is to the student community that this is what I have got to offer. Therefore, Nazareth should convince the neighborhood that this is the college where if you come, you will have an experience that will guide you all through your life as a graduate. If I am able to convey that to my neighborhood, that is enough. And that is what is expected also. Nazareth College need not convince somebody in Delhi to know about it through NARF or NAC. But their immediate community is the context in which they learn. My learning experience is deeply rooted in Avadi or in Chennai or in Tiruvallur. It is not rooted in Delhi or Bombay or Hyderabad, where these institutions sit there and regulate us. So too many of your institutions should be. So within this larger framework of regulations, if you understand that many of these regulations require only certain documents to be produced, by and large based on measurable outcomes, then you can beat the system. That is not a great thing. But you will have to be very faithful to your own student community and their parents. And that depends on what is the type of classroom experience that you would give to them. Because even the last student in the class will know the best teacher in the system. And every teacher and every institution has got an oral history. So I have got an oral history. If you go on, as students, we all do that, no? The moment we know that a teacher has to come, then immediately we ask our seniors, that chap Srinivasan is going to teach us, how is he? And there is a history that is transferred to my juniors. So this history you can never erase. And so too there is an institutional history. And that institutional history is what your trademark is. And that is what we'll have to work, and that is what will ensure the quality of education for our children. Thank you very much. If you have questions, I will answer, otherwise I'll wrap up.
as a full-time, just want to get your say on this. So when we start introducing these kind of SDG programs, like again, when we come to NAC, NRF and all, how far our Tamil Nadu government is accepting the regulations based on that, so that how the support is from the Tamil Nadu government, because we see in the last 15 years, there is not such a kind of support which we are getting from the government in order to implement these kind of regulations. So what is your say on this as a member of planning commission member?
I am a very hard critic of SDG. Why? As a student of economics,
Thank you, sir. Very insightful philosophical tone of what attributes and KPIs that we should actually assess for any student, any beyond numeric marks and other things. But do we have such a system? I mean, which is a profound question. I don't know whether we have answers for. Do we really have solution for this? What is the framework around it? It's a very, very profound question, very philosophical in nature. But do we have a framework through which this can be achieved? This is one question, sir. Second thing. The second question is, when we say attributes, and then you list a certain list of outcomes, and for that outcomes, you're actually saying certain indicators. This is for a student. This is for a teacher. This is for an institution. What about state? What about governance? What about social, economic, and environment aspects related to that? While we may stand the top of the rung in a country, in a small microcosm, but we may not be doing extremely well in comparison. And how do we actually compare globally? The politics which actually drives through various self-interests, should that take precedence over social, economic, and environmental performance of a state? This is the second question, sir.
Attributes, outcomes, indicators, there are different stages in which we conceive an idea. Attributes may look like there
145.